For more on how the new regulations could impact global gaming developers in China and globally, we are joined by Eric Schiffer. He's the tech entrepreneur and CEO of the Patriarch organization. Eric, thank you for joining us. Let's start with an overview of the global gaming industry. According to Newzoo, this year, gamers worldwide are expected to generate $99 billion in revenue. That's more than 8% higher than last year. And for the first time ever, mobile gaming has surpassed PCs in terms of market share, forecast to generate almost $37 billion this year. So that's the global picture. Paint us a picture, though, of how the mobile gaming market is in China.
It's doing well. It really is. I think that you're seeing what could be upwards of probably half a million users sometime in 2016 all the way through, probably upwards well past $8 billion that will be spent. So you're talking about a significant amount of money. The Chinese consumer, they love games, and certainly mobile games, and it's a great opportunity for companies, especially U.S. companies, Chinese companies, great market.
A huge amount of money to be made there, obviously. So developers are unhappy about the new mobile game regulations in China. What impact do you think this will have on the mobile gaming industry, both globally and domestically?
Well, look, it's going to cause a pause. I mean, if you're a CEO and you're putting out all this money and suddenly you can't get a game to be able to be published in China, that's a big concern. So this regulation will, for the big companies, it's not going to be a big issue. But the smaller companies, if you only have a certain amount of money in the bank, you're going to have a hard time, even though the fees may be $3,000 to $6,000, because it slows things down and it could actually cause a barrier to entry. Big companies, not so much.
Right, and they're saying that the process will take about 3 months. So yes, it would be the smaller companies that could be a difference between staying alive or not. Want to talk to you about what you think the Chinese government is most concerned about when it comes to mobile games. What features are not likely to get approval?
Well, look, I think the Chinese government is making sure that there are messages that are going to be consistent with the values that China has put forth, and in certain cases, that would mean certain storylines that might be anti-Chinese or could be assumed to be. That would include games that might have certain aspects in them that would be a concern, perhaps even to the military, for instance. I mean, you have this phenomenal event that's going on here in the United States and around the world with Pokemon. And so the big question is Pokemon going to be able to make it? And we'll talk about this, I'm sure. That creates concern, obviously, to the government because of some of the things that are involved in the game.
Right. I mean, I guess one of the concerns is over the geo-mapping element that we see with Pokemon Go. Some concerns that perhaps you'll find gamers that are going into military areas, and it could reveal to the rest of the world where some of those military sites are. I mean, in light of this new regulation, do you think Pokemon Go has any chance of breaking into the Chinese market, which I'm sure Nintendo would like to happen because the market is so huge there?
Well, I think it's not just Nintendo. I think many consumers in China would love to participate. I think right now, short term, most likely not. But I think long term, if there are some concerns that they can put in place with respect to the GPS elements and other concerns that would ensure the safety of the Chinese military and ensure certainly state secrets are protected, perhaps, but it's anyone's guess, really. I think that it's too early, really, to know.
Okay, and in terms of this new regulation, how do you think it will impact the way developers approach coming out with new products? Are there any kind of loopholes that they can find to still get the games out there, but not in a way that needs to get the approval of regulators?
Well, look, you have to localize this. So you're going to need publishers that can ensure that your game makes sense locally, that it complies with all of the rules. And I think as you begin to see some of these bigger companies go through their development cycle, they'll absolutely begin to map to what matters in China, and certainly the regulations. It'll be baked into the DNA of what is going to be built. There's no question. Right now, short term, a big flux, but long term, this is not going to be a problem for many producers of great quality games. So if you're a Chinese consumer of great games, they'll be able to get there. It just may take a while to ensure that China feels comfortable with the content that's going to be in front of its people.
All right, so in the short term, a game changer for the global gaming industry, but not in the long term. That's your take. Thank you
Correct.
so much. That was Eric Schiffer, tech entrepreneur and CEO of the Patriarch organization.